Centuries ago, the Khmer Empire stood as a beacon of power and prosperity in Southeast Asia, its influence stretching across fertile lands and bustling trade hubs. Among its prized territories were the lush Mekong Delta and the thriving port city of Nokor. But as empires rose and fell, so too did the Khmer's grip on these lands. In the 17th century, a desperate Cambodian king struck a fateful deal, ceding Nokor to the Nguyen lords of Vietnam. Over time, the delta and its key city transformed into the heart of Vietnam's southern expansion, culminating in what we now know as Ho Chi Minh City. For many Cambodians, this isn't just history, it's a story of loss and resilience. The question that lingers, however, is whether this story could ever come full circle. Could Vietnam one day return these historically significant lands to Cambodia? Or has this chapter been permanently closed by time and politics? The story of the Mekong Delta and Nokor, now Ho Chi Minh City, is steeped in centuries of political intrigue and territorial ambition. Once integral parts of the Khmer Empire, these regions were ceded to Vietnam during the 17th century as Cambodia's declining influence intersected with the Nguyen lords' expansionist vision. Nokor, initially a small Khmer trading post, evolved into a vital economic and cultural hub under Vietnamese control, symbolizing the southward push of the Dai Viet Empire. The Mekong Delta's fertile lands, meanwhile, became a lifeline for agriculture and trade. In the 21st century, the historical resonance of these territories has taken on new dimensions. The Mekong Delta is not just a breadbasket, it's a critical environmental and economic resource vulnerable to climate change, while Ho Chi Minh City remains Vietnam's economic powerhouse. For Cambodia, the memory of these lost lands continues to evoke nationalistic sentiments, feeding into broader discussions of sovereignty, identity, and historical justice. On a geopolitical stage increasingly defined by competition over natural resources and strategic waterways, these contested regions highlight the enduring tensions between historical legacies and contemporary power dynamics. The Mekong Delta's story begins as a cornerstone of the Khmer Empire, a civilization that flourished between the 9th and 15th centuries. Renowned for its architectural marvels like Angkor Wat, the Khmer Empire depended on the Delta as a vital agricultural and trade hub. Its fertile lands supported thriving rice cultivation, while its waterways connected the empire to regional trade networks. For centuries, this region embodied the prosperity and influence of the Khmer people, serving as both a breadbasket and a cultural bridge. The tide turned in the 17th century as Vietnam, led by the Nguyen lords, began its southward expansion. The political fragility of Cambodia allowed Vietnam to establish control over the region, culminating in the 19th century annexation of Kampuchea Krom, or Lower Cambodia. This act not only reshaped the territorial boundaries of Southeast Asia, but also sowed the seeds of resentment that persist to this day. For the Khmer people, the loss of these lands symbolized the erosion of their sovereignty and a painful chapter in their history. The arrival of French colonial rule in the mid-19th century further complicated the region's dynamics. Under French administration, the Mekong Delta was fully integrated into Cochinchina, a southern Vietnamese territory. The colonial powers prioritized economic exploitation, transforming the Delta into a global, rice-exporting powerhouse while marginalizing Khmer cultural and political influence. By embedding the Delta into Vietnam's national framework, the French solidified Vietnam's claim over the region, leaving a legacy of contested history that continues to shape Cambodian-Vietnamese relations. Both nations present their claims using a blend of historical records and legal principles. Cambodia asserts that the Mekong Delta was historically Khmer territory until it was ceded under pressure during French colonial rule. The region, originally part of the Khmer Empire, was gradually absorbed by Vietnamese settlers starting in the 17th century. The 1949 decision by France to transfer the delta to Vietnam without consulting Cambodia is often cited as a grievance. Cambodian leaders claim this historical transfer ignored the rights of the local Khmer Krom population, who still inhabit the region and often face cultural and political marginalization. Vietnam counters with evidence that the Mekong Delta has been integrated into its territory for centuries, pointing to continuous Vietnamese governance and settlement. By the time of French colonial rule, Vietnam had established significant administrative and cultural dominance over the region, making it a de facto part of its national framework. Vietnam also highlights that modern territorial integrity was solidified during the post-colonial era, particularly after the Geneva Accords of 1954 and the agreements that followed. International law offers no straightforward solution to this dispute. Vietnam's position aligns with the principle of uti possidetis juris, which recognizes colonial-era boundaries as a basis for modern borders. On the other hand, Cambodia could invoke principles of self-determination for the Khmer Krom people, although such claims are legally and politically challenging. The Mekong River Commission, a body responsible for transboundary water governance, has also become a forum for addressing resource management issues, further intertwining legal claims with environmental and developmental concerns. The tensions are compounded by Cambodia's ambitious $1.7 billion Funan Teco Canal project, which is expected to reduce its economic reliance on Vietnamese ports. Vietnam has expressed concerns about potential downstream environmental impacts, particularly regarding fisheries and agriculture in the Delta. This project exemplifies how historical disputes intersect with modern economic strategies, as Cambodia seeks to assert greater control over its trade routes and economic destiny. While both nations emphasize historical rights and legal principles, the Mekong Delta dispute is as much about modern geopolitics and national identity as it is about historical grievances. Resolving the issue requires balancing historical narratives with practical solutions that address the economic and environmental needs of the region. Resolving the territorial dispute over the Mekong Delta and Nokor, Saigon, between Cambodia and Vietnam requires an approach that addresses historical grievances, economic interdependence, and regional stability. While entrenched national sentiments make an outright resolution challenging, diplomatic negotiations focusing on shared interests, such as cross-border trade and Mekong River management, could foster cooperation. Potential compromises might include granting cultural and economic autonomy to Cambodia's Khmer Krom population, or providing economic incentives to Cambodia for infrastructure development. International organizations like ASEAN and the Mekong River Commission, alongside mediators such as Japan or the United States, could offer impartial frameworks for dialogue. Despite the difficulty of a peaceful resolution, given Vietnam's agricultural reliance on the Delta and Cambodia's emphasis on Khmer Krom rights, regional collaboration and recent Cambodian infrastructure projects signal pathways for redefining relations. By emphasizing shared growth and stability, the conflict could transform into an opportunity for mutual progress. The long-term outlook for Cambodia's efforts to reclaim the Mekong Delta hinges on evolving geopolitical dynamics and regional cooperation, with potential scenarios ranging from diplomatic progress to sustained tensions. While Cambodia faces challenges due to Vietnam's established dominance and the Delta's critical role in Vietnamese agriculture, its investments in infrastructure, like the $1.7 billion Funan Teco Canal, could enhance its leverage. Optimistically, bilateral agreements fostering joint resource governance could promote regional stability and economic integration. Conversely, legal challenges or third-party arbitration might escalate tensions and provoke nationalist sentiments, potentially destabilizing the greater Mekong subregion. Alternatively, maintaining the status quo could see Cambodia focusing on domestic development and regional collaboration, reducing the territorial dispute's prominence over time. Future generations in both nations, influenced by global sustainability goals and ASEAN integration, could prioritize cooperation on shared challenges like climate change and resource management, reframing the dispute through a lens of mutual progress. In essence, the territorial dispute over the Mekong Delta and Nokor, Saigon, is rooted in centuries of historical and legal claims that continue to shape the political landscape between Cambodia and Vietnam. While Cambodia's aspirations to reclaim the Mekong Delta remain central to national identity and historical justice, the region's economic significance to Vietnam complicates any potential resolution. The dispute also reflects broader regional dynamics, with ASEAN's role in international law offering pathways for negotiation and compromise. Ultimately, while the prospect of Cambodia reclaiming the Mekong Delta in its entirety seems unlikely, diplomatic engagement, evolving economic relations, and a new generation of leadership could foster greater cooperation and regional stability, redefining the dispute from territorial rivalry to shared resource management. As both nations confront environmental and economic challenges in the coming decades, their ability to navigate this complex issue will be crucial for long-term peace and prosperity in Southeast Asia. Thank you for tuning into our channel. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth analysis of global issues.